Hi everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Kausha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled AND, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. Our first story today is from someone who was listening to Pastor Robert Morris on the Trinity Broadcasting Network. That's TBN, Trinity Broadcasting Network on TV. And they noticed that he was explaining one night how God often uses frequency or repetition. That's frequency or repetition when he's trying to tutor us about things. And he got into things like numbers. Many people quote holy numbers. They've seen holy numbers. Many people have written books about holy numbers. And we certainly, over the last 3 years now, we've talked about many people who see 3 numbers, like 3 3s or 3 4s or 3 7s, and seeing 3 numbers all at once like that. Every number except 3 6s has a connotation and a meaning. We list the meanings in our books, so you can get them by going to our website, or just Google the title of the book, Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles, and you'll get the meaning on that website. And you can Google meaning of numbers as well on the internet if you like. So what God does, and Robert Morris was explaining it very thoroughly, when he's trying to tutor us, if he's trying to communicate with us, let's say he's trying to use numbers, for example. Maybe he's trying to convince one person that you know that every time they see a number 3 4s or 3 8s or 3 7s, that he wants them to notice that because he's doing something special at that moment. He wants to get their attention. Now, God doesn't do this with every single person, of course, but many people have this experience where they see 3 numbers happening. A license plate goes by, or a bill they're paying has in the account number has 3 holy numbers in it, or someone calls them on a phone and they notice their phone number, the person calling them has a holy number, etc. So when you see the holy numbers, sometimes you'll see that God is using frequency or repetition. He's trying to show you that he's trying to use numbers like Morse code to get your attention. He's teaching you in your life. Maybe he just wants you to notice the number 222. I've met several people who that's the only number that they get excited about. When they see 222, they know that God is somehow talking to them. And we've told you many of those stories over the last 3 years. And some other people see the number 777 and no other number seems to enter their life. But when they see the 3 sevens, they clearly have cases that God is talking to them or doing something. So I wanted to bring this out because we've been talking about this for 3 years, and now a very famous pastor, Pastor Robert Morris, he's very famous. I think he wrote something like 200 books. And so he is telling people also that God does things like this when he's trying to tutor us, get our attention, and have some way of patting us on the head and sending us, some stimulus when he's trying to get our attention. And the reason why that's apropos is because we also got another comment from a person who was experiencing something marvelous. They had to go to a doctor for a meeting to discuss surgery, heart surgery, and they were very troubled by it. And they prayed a lot about it. Should they go and trying to plan what to talk to the doctor about? And they relate to us that on the way to the doctor's office, they saw the number 333, and then they saw the number 444. And those numbers are familiar to them. They've seen them often when they're praying or trying to do something special with God. So it was a little nudge for them that God was driving over to the doctor. It gave them peace. And then when they got to the parking lot of the doctor, they spent a few minutes in the parking lot rehearsing what they were going to say to the doctor about the surgery discussions. And while they were doing that, a car pulled in and parked next to them, and its license plate was 7777, which is, one more than 3, which is certainly an extra benefit, an extra kicker that God was blessing this person with. And then they tell us on the way home after the doctor, they had a great meeting with the doctor, but on the way home, they saw 3 5s and 3 7s on the way home. So this person obviously has this frequency condition of seeing holy numbers, and it means a lot to them. In their particular case, they told us this was heart surgery, a serious thing, and their day was flooded with holy numbers. And they're postponing the surgery. They're going to try some meds, etc. So great news, and I hope you folks, you've heard this for 3 years, people using numbers to recognize when God is trying to get their attention. And now Pastor Robert Morris is using the term, he stresses the term frequency, meaning God keeps showing you a number. At some point, he's hoping you're going to recognize that he's trying to get your attention. Our next story is something that happened to me. It was a very hot summer day this past summer, and I was inspired to go to one of the Connecticut beaches and pass out cards again and answer people's questions about the cards as I'm passing them out. And the particular beach I go to often has 4 beach locations, parking lots that hold something like 250 cars per parking lot for 4 different beaches. I know it might be 250 or 300 cars, I'm not sure, but a lot of cars. So I prayed for wisdom on the way down, which beach to go to first and second, and if there was time, third. I typically do that. And I got inspired to go to beach number 1 first. There's 4 beaches there, all numbered. So when I got there, I went to beach number 1. Well, the parking lot, as expected on this hot day, was packed. I saw people driving around trying to find a parking spot. So I stopped. I said a prayer. I asked specifically, where should I go look for a parking spot? Because time is precious when I'm trying to pass out cards. I don't want to spend a half an hour looking for a parking spot. And I got inspired to go to the very first place, the very first parking spot closest to the pavilion. I couldn't believe that was the inspiration, but it was very clear to me, go to the first place. And I thought this would really be a miracle that I get the absolute first place. Well, I drove to the first place, and as has happened often to me, the first car, or the first parking spot was open. And I don't know how long it was open, but it was open as I arrived, and I got to park right there, and it saved me walking a very long distance to get to the beach. Well, the next thing that happened was I got out of the car, and before I could get out of the car, I saw a woman, probably 28 years old, was leaving the beach and going home. I saw her walking up toward the parking lot, and I was going out toward the beach, so we were walking toward each other face to face. I got inspired to hand her a card. It was a very powerful nudging I got, like this person, really should get this card. And it was pretty providential. I just got there and she's leaving, so the significance was unmistakable that this is perfect timing. I got the front parking spot as one clue. Well, when I handed her the card, she asked a lot of questions. She was there trying to solve some problems, as many people go to the beach. I'm always so surprised. Many people go to the beach because they're having problems. They want peace and quiet. They want to pray. They want to just have the peace of the beach to get their thoughts in order. And she was there doing that. And she told me so. When she saw the card, she started asking questions. She said, I was here specifically asking God a lot of questions, and I do have a prayer life, and I know a lot about Jesus. I read the Bible, etc. So she was very aware of God. But she, in the process of asking her questions, I was able to tell her the essence of my book is it shows people how to have conversations with God, how to know that God is absolutely responding to you, so you know God is talking to you, and how to notice His inspirations, His ideas. So she was so captivated and delighted. I can't tell you, I was so pleased. I met her before she went home. She said she's going to get the book the very next day. Now, I didn't have any there I could give her that day. So it was a very wonderful moment for me because I got the front parking spot, the first person I saw. Well, that wasn't enough because there were 4 other people walking off the beach at the same time, and they were lingering in the area where I was talking to this woman, and they overheard enough where they came over and said to me, can we have a card? And they told me what they had overheard, and they said they can't wait to get the book either. So here was an opportunity. Talk about God getting you to the right place at the right time. I just got out of my car, parked in the first spot. If I didn't get the first spot to park in, I'd be a half an hour walking around the parking lot to get to the beach. So God had this all arranged. He had the first woman there and then 4 other people listening in. And I didn't even get to the beach yet, and I'm already handing out cards to 5 people and having discussions. I think it was like 10 minutes with the first person and then another 5 minutes with the group of 4, because the group of 4 had overheard a lot of the discussion already, so they only needed 5 more minutes of questions. Well, I went out to the beach after that, passed out something like 100 cards, answered a lot of questions, spent about 2 hours there. I got inspired. It was time to leave. I was inspired. Now I went to beach 1. Now I was supposed to go to beach number 3. So I drove over to beach number 3. When I got there, it was absolutely packed again, filled with cars. I think there must have been 300 cars there. And people were driving around and they were frustrated they couldn't get a parking spot. So once again, I stopped, I said a prayer. I was inspired to go to the 3rd row and somewhere in the first 5 parking spots of the 3rd row. So I got to the 3rd row and I found the 3rd parking spot open. And that's not the end of what happened. I got out of my car and I was greeted by 6 college sophomores who I had seen about a week and a half earlier at the beach and had given them cards and told them about ask God. You just keep asking God questions and He will inspire you. He'll show you numbers. He'll inspire you and give you ideas constantly. So if you want to have God talk to you, you just keep asking questions. And I told them that, and they were so abundantly happy. They told me, Tony, we've been doing what you said, and we are getting inspired. We are getting answers, and they shared a lot with me. And the fact that I got a parking spot again here, and these 6 people were leaving as I got there, is another definite coincidence, miracle from Jesus that He was blessing my a week and a half ago efforts. God bless you all. I'll talk to you next week.